Have you ever felt like your workouts just aren't giving you the results that they should be? No muscle that you should be gaining? Well, let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you being here. And this fitness term seems to get thrown around a lot, and I either see it being undervalued or overcomplicated. And so today we're going to be diving into progressive overload. The general idea of progressive overload is just increasing the intensity of a working set for any given exercise. So whether that's a rep or weight, there's a lot of other little things that get thrown into as if they are progressive overload, but it's not what it actually means. And we'll dive into that a little bit deeper further along into this video. Let's first talk about what it actually is because it's incredibly simple and people tend to overcomplicate it for no reason. Progressive overload is the increase of intensity of a working set of any given exercise. So whether that's reps or weight, it helps if you track your lifts throughout your workouts throughout the week because this helps you remember instead of just having it all in your brain. So having a journal or a notes app of just writing all your reps and weight is super helpful when tracking progressive overload because let's say, for example, you did a chest press at 145 pounds and you got 6 reps. Congratulations, that's very good. So the next week you would try to do either 7 reps for that given weight, or if you're feeling up to it, do 150 pounds and just try and get as many reps as you can from there because progressive overload is the increase of intensity. So you're always trying to beat yourself or your past self of what you did in the past. There's going to be times where you don't hit a new rep or new weight, but the exercise might just feel a little easier. So that 145 pounds at 6 reps just might feel easier. So you at least have a little bit of confidence knowing, okay, I'm getting better at this set. So I know at least the next week I can probably go up to 7 reps instead. So don't worry about it. Progressive overload can take maybe 2 weeks sometimes. If you have your volume very equated for and your recovery very intelligently organized, you probably can progressively overload almost weekly, but this is rare because it's hard to be perfect. So sometimes it can take 2 to 3 weeks to actually progressively overload. One of the biggest things that people fall into with progressive overload is chasing numbers and ruining their technique. You want to make sure that you're keeping good form and technique. Progressive overload will occur, I promise you, but it sometimes might not be week by week, and this can hurt your mindset a little bit and think you're regressing, but you're actually not. So keep good form, keep your recovery on point, and I promise you, you will continue to progressively overload if everything is done right. Okay, so now let's talk about the big 3 that don't count as progressive overload. The first would be tempo, the second would be assisted reps, and the third would be adding another set. Let's first talk about tempo because it has its time and place in exercise. It teaches technique, it teaches to control the weight, and those are very important things. But you don't see someone doing bicep curls and tracking saying it did 30 seconds and the next week they'll try to do 31 seconds. This just doesn't count as progressive overload because we need to be tracking the amount of reps we did or the amount of weight we did because this is really where intensity lies. With assisted reps, this is getting confused a lot by a lot of teenagers thinking that their buddy is taking them past failure and getting more and more reps so they track these ones, but this is where people get confused because we need to be tracking how the straight set went just by you yourself and your own muscle because it's you and your muscles moving the weight, so we need to be tracking what that muscle did by itself. So we would start the set by yourself and finish it and put that number down. Assisted reps have their time and place sometimes. Sometimes it's not beneficial to go that far because you're just adding unnecessary fatigue and that muscle was done long ago. So there's no point in getting assisted reps just to feel more of a burn. Sometimes people are getting addicted to the burn, but this isn't what progressive overload is. Progressive overload is checking a muscle and seeing how far that muscle can go by itself and then tracking that number. And adding another set just has the same relationship with fatigue as assisted reps do. It's just adding more fatigue to that muscle so it takes longer to recover from. So this wouldn't be progressive overload because now we're just increasing the fatigue and the muscle's already done long ago. And this is why the low volume, high intensity approach is the right way to go because you're going to see that you will progressively overload a lot better once you lower down your volume. Overall though, don't overcomplicate it because progressive overload is incredibly simple. It's just reps and weight. And if you track it on a notes app or a journal, I promise you, if you see yourself progressing, you're doing something right. But if you see yourself staying at the same place or worst case scenario, regressing, you have a problem either in your volume, your nutrition, or your recovery. And that at least helps you when you're tracking to see where you're going wrong. And so you can possibly change things to see that progressive overload happen and see yourself build muscle. Thanks for tuning into today's video, and I hope you subscribe and like the video to stay up to date with all the videos I'll be posting. And I hope you have a great day and take care.